Chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today, I am very excited to showcase my brilliance with the black pieces that I played against Princess Chess AI. Many of you think that with the black pieces, I cannot defeat Princess, but it's a complete myth. I can defeat Princess and even whoever holds the strongest chess engine that comes in front of me, I can defeat all of them. In this position, I will showcase how to defend the King's Gambit if your opponent plays it in your game. So, let's get started without wasting any time. She started the game with e4, we have e5, and she immediately responded with f4, delving into the King's Gambit. At this point, players like you might consider knight to c6 or d5, but I decided to capture the pawn on the f4 square as it is the best move. After knight to f3, players like Hikaru or grandmasters might consider bishop to c5 or knight to f6, both moves are good, but I played the best move, g5, it is the only best move, a top engine line. Now, I have a few options to consider, h3, bishop to c4, or playing knight to c3 d3 or d4 as well. Just like when you go to the supermarket to buy kitchen stuff, your mom gives you a list, and you also buy chips and cold drinks for yourself. Now, many players might consider bishop to c4, attacking the pawn, then just push forward your g4 pawn, and after the knight goes to the e5 square, threatening the pawn, it's not knight to h6 that protects the pawn, you can go into danger level because, as a subscriber of Stockfish, you can play h4 check, forcing the king to move. After knight to c6 happens in the game, your opponent might think, hey fool, your pawn on the f7 square is unguarded, let me capture it with my knight, I'll go after your rook on h8, go ahead, fool, and in the meantime, I can checkmate you on the next move on the f2 square, your game will be over. Therefore, after the queen moves, g3 happens in the game, attacking the pawn, of course. You cannot capture back my pawn because you will lose your property. In this position, white may be glad to capture the rook, therefore, without question, just play knight to f6, you sacrifice your rook to get positional advantages with the knight. The knight, like a true horsey, can run first into the chess club, and everyone will be shocked. Now, white may consider e5, kicking out the knight, or try to open up the queen file. That doesn't matter because you have a powerful move, bishop to f2, a Bobby Fischer move. After the queen moves, you can put your knight on the g4 square, attacking the pawn, and the king will be harassed. After e6, trying to open the file for the queen to attack the black king, you can eventually consider d5, emphasizing your king's protection while also attacking the bishop with tempo. After the capture, recapture, and all subsequent captures occur, I'm going to marry a new queen, and how can you defend your position? Even considering g4 doesn't matter, because I can give you a check, forcing the king to move, and after another check, the king goes back, and queen to g1 will lead to a checkmate, the game will be over, and you will lose your reputation by losing to an AI made by humans. Going back to the position, we discovered that playing bishop to c4 was good but also risky. That's why after queen to e2 was considered by Princess, I played knight to c6, dominating the center, as my knight is doing. Playing d4 is not possible because I can consider g4, kicking out the knight, and then I can capture your pawn. Therefore, if d3 is played by Princess, then I can even consider knight to d4. Are you shocked by seeing this move? Well, Princess will be too. But I will not play knight to d4 early in the game. First, I will play g4, kicking out the knight. Knight to g1 would be the best move to consider, but if your 20 IQ brain thinks of playing knight to d2, then you will be gone. I can bombard your position by playing knight to d4, attacking the queen and the pawn simultaneously, and your queen will be restricted, you will have no barriers to escape. And after the queen moves back to protect the pawn, I can play a very significant and amazing move, queen to h4 check, attacking the king. The game will be over for you because even if you dare to consider g3, it won't matter because after I capture the pawn, your king will be restricted by my pieces. You will see that I am threatening g2, checking the king, and I will marry another new queen. I love to marry in chess, not in real life, because bachelor life is better than married life. After the bishop captures the g2 pawn and the king moves, queen to f6 check occurs. You can see that the white king is facing too many problems in his graveyard that I am lighting up on the board. After the king moves, bishop to d6 will arrive with the idea of attacking the king on the g3 square. The position will be devastated for you. How can you protect your position? Even considering queen takes g4 doesn't matter, because the pawn on the c2 square is under attack by the knight, and I can even consider h5 on the board. The game will be over, and I will raise my country's flag over your position. Going back to Viceroy, he discovered that playing d3 was a very bad choice, that wasn't considered by Princess. She played another blunder, h3, trying to protect the square. But do you know, Princess, the more beautiful a girl is, the more foolish she will be. Princess is a beautiful but she's also dumb because she created a weakness on the g3 square along with the dark squares. Therefore, my knight can go to the f6 square, followed by h5, and g3 can dominate your position. The position will be completely lost for you. So, I just put my bishop on the g7 square, preparing for the sniper. After the pawn moves, threatening d4, where princess will be activated, it is a completely passive move. I don't know why she's playing so badly because she has a small center and an undeveloped position. At this point, of course, you should not castle short. You need to push forward the pawn, bring out the bishop, bring out your queen, and castle long to live happily ever after with your children and wife. Princess responded with d4 because her heart told her to dominate the central squares, but that does not matter to me. Whether you have central dominance or not, I have a significant advantage due to the weaknesses you created on the g3 square. And remember, if she plays e5 or d5, I will consider h5 to put my knight on the g3 square. Your position will be vulnerable. Therefore, if she is forced to consider g3 on the board, try to ensure higher rook protection. After knight to h5 attacks the pawn. Many chess players might consider rook to g1 to protect the position, but that does not matter because I can even consider knight takes g3, attacking the queen, as the queen moves, because she needs to protect the pawn on the e4 square. I can even consider d5 on the board. Now your pawn is under attack, and two different rated players might think differently. Some may consider e5 in their position, but it is a completely poor move because I can consider bishop to f5, attacking the queen. The bishop is protected by the knight, and I can also play a6 or f6, long castle, and gain access to the e-file. The knight will dominate your position, making it completely vulnerable for you. So, let me share an inspirational quote in sudden with you. Stay focused, work hard, know your numbers and be disciplined. If you do those things and take care of your people, the likelihood of being successful is very, very high. Going back to the reasoning, another category of players, such as fools, nonsense thinkers, and dinosaurs, might consider e takes d5, then again, I can consider bishop to f5, forcing the queen to move. After the capture of the a6 pawn and the knight, when the queen goes back, queen captures on e5 will attack the knight. What should you do now? If you consider bishop to g2, the position will turn into a blunder because I can crush your strategy with my 18-wheel truck by playing queen to e4 check. No matter where the king goes, I can kick it off the throne with queen to e2. The king will live under the feet of the queen. Going back to the reasoning, we discovered that any rook moves are not possible. Therefore, after the capture and the knight goes here, attacking these pieces, the queen goes there, and after the capture, bishop to e3 follows because your knight has nowhere to go. After d5, e5 happened by princess to lock down the position, and this is called the stone wall structure, you could say, because the bishop is stuck behind the structure. But at the same time, what about your king? He will face vulnerabilities. Therefore, after the knight moves back, I want to maneuver my knight to a good outpost. So, after the capture, the knight goes here, the bishop goes back, and bishop to e6 happens, where I consider long castling and happily living outside the countryside on an island. A couple of moves later, you can see that knight to g3 happens. Capturing the knight is not advisable because, after the capture, queen to d7 will follow to attack the pawn on h3, and I will get a passed pawn. That will be a very happy thing for me. After the queen moves, we have h5, considering h4 on the next move. Therefore, you have no choice but to capture it. We have some piece exchanges on the board through the bishop's attack, castling happens, and queen to d7 attacks the pawn, where I want to create my passed pawn. At the end of the day, I will have a rook for a knight. Remember, I have exchanged your rook for my knight, and this position will be completely winning for me because my rooks will be doubled up, gaining access to the second rank, where queen to h4 can also be possible. All these moves illustrate my brilliance, showing that Princess Chess is nothing in front of me. Even though she played a strong opening like the King's Gambit, it does not matter because, with the black pieces, I can defeat Princess easily. Don't think that she played a weak opening. She is as strong as Alpha Zero. I don't know where Alpha Zero is, under my shoes or underground. In the end, we have rook exchanges, and you can see that we had early queen exchanges as well. I also have a bishop, rook, and passed pawn, and this position is completely winning for me. You have nothing to choose, and slowly but surely, I will win the game. My rook has an advantage, my rook has an outpost, and you know what? Princess is so beautiful, but her intelligence is very poor. As I mentioned, a girl will either be beautiful or intelligent, but having both qualities in the same girl is completely impossible. Princess is like an AI trying to protect and control her position, but in the end, I will win the knight and soon checkmate her. I hope you enjoyed the game. If so, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Wishing you all the best and see you soon.